Welcome to the channel. After more than 30 years of doubt and rumors, Donte Jackson finally found out who his biological father was. Randy Jackson, or Michael Jackson, the king of pop DNA test results revealed a shocking truth, completely changing his life and revealing a secret that had been kept for decades in the Jackson family. This story will keep you glued to your seat. What do you think about Donte Jackson's DNA results? If you have ever experienced a surprising story about your family or background, leave the number 1 in the comment section, and if you have not, comment the number 0. Don't forget to enjoy the video and support me by clicking the subscribe button so you don't miss the next interesting stories. Donte Randall Jackson spent his life wondering who his real father was. He had 4 brothers, the same mother, but 2 fathers, 2 men who happened to be brothers. Growing up in one of the most famous families in music history, Donte, now 32, always felt like something was missing from his story. Whispers, strange looks, and unanswered questions followed him throughout his childhood. But everything changed after he took a DNA test. DNA changed everything. The results of the test about his biological father were shocking. It was a truth so unexpected that even Donte had a hard time believing it. Growing up in the shadow of Michael Jackson wasn't easy for anyone, but for Donte Randall Jackson, it was especially complicated. Donte Randall Jackson. Born June 13, 1992. Donte spent most of his life living with Alejandra Oaziaza, Michael Jackson's sister-in-law, and was raised with his cousins, all of whom bore the famous Jackson surname. But even though he was a part of that home, Donte always felt a quiet distance, as if he didn't really belong there like everyone else. The whispers began when he was a child. Family friends often looked at him strangely, as if they knew something he didn't. His appearance was not quite like his brothers, and his personality was quieter and more thoughtful than the usually boisterous energy of the Jackson family. While the other members seemed to know their role in the Jackson legacy, Donte often wondered where he really came from. Doubts about Donte's identity began early in his life and the Jackson families. Although adopted by Joseph and Catherine Jackson, the parents of the legendary Michael Jackson, as a child, Donte was placed in the care of Alejandra. Alejandra was not only a maid, but also raised many of the other children in the extended Jackson family, all of whom had Jackson blood. This led many to question Donte's true identity and why he did not grow up directly under the care of Randy or his official adoptive parents. Alejandra has a complicated relationship with Randy Jackson, and Jermaine Jackson having had children with both of them. Jafar and Jerma Jesty are her sons with Jermaine and Genevieve, and Randy Jr. are her children with Randy. Donte was raised with these children, leading people to initially believe that he was also Randy Jackson's son. This creates a very complicated web of family relationships and raises many questions about Donte's true identity within this famous extended family. However, over time, doubts about Donte's biological parents grew and became a topic of interest to many people, especially when the official adoption papers listed Joseph and Catherine Jackson as his adoptive parents, not Randy, as everyone thought. This made the story more mysterious and dramatic, creating many theories surrounding Donte's true identity. Now, a final DNA test result is awaited to clarify everything, opening a new chapter in the Jackson family story. This detail has caused many family members and close people to raise deep questions. If Randy was really Donte's biological father, why didn't he officially adopt him? Instead, the adopters were Joseph and Catherine Jackson, Michael Jackson's parents, who were not Dante's biological parents. This has given rise to many theories about the real reason behind that decision. Were they trying to protect Donte from an unspeakable truth, or were they hiding something about their family that no one knew? This difference in the way of adoption has created a big question mark, making the story more mysterious than ever. The story gets even stranger when Donte discovers that he was born just 8 months after Alejandra and Randy's son, Randy Jr., was born. This is an extremely short time frame, almost medically impossible for a woman to give birth to 2 children less than a year apart. This raises a big question mark about whether Alejandra is really Dante's biological mother. It even makes many people rethink the true relationship between Donte and his family members because the initial information seems to be impossible to explain logically. Dante's awareness of these anomalies led him to begin to deeply suspect that Alejandra was not his biological mother. At the same time, he also questioned whether Randy was his biological father. These questions not only troubled him, but also left him feeling confused and disoriented. If these theories about his biological parents were true, then why had they kept his true identity a secret? And most of all, was there a special reason why his family had kept his identity a secret for so many years? Meanwhile, what Donte finds most confusing is that Alejandra was the one who directly raised him throughout his childhood, even though she had just given birth to Randy Jr. This makes him unable to stop asking uncomfortable questions about the circumstances and reasons behind his birth and care. The devoted care, but at the same time not clearly explaining his origin, makes Donte feel that the truth about his family is still very well hidden and may be a big secret that he has never known. If Randy wasn't Dante's biological father, then who was Dante's real father? And why did his biological mother disappear from his life completely, as if she had never existed? Every time Donte brought up the subject in his family, he received vague answers or abrupt changes in the conversation. All of these signs pointed to a huge secret being hidden behind it, a truth that could completely change Dante's life if exposed. Everyone's confusion and avoidance only increased his curiosity and doubts about his own identity. Donte begins to search for the truth. He pays more attention to family conversations, looks closely at old photos, tries to recognize similarities between himself and his relatives. He searches for both his father and his mysterious biological mother, a mother who is completely absent from his memories and life. How do you think Donte Jackson will react when he learns the truth about his biological father? If you think he will be happy, comment number 2. And if you think he will have more complicated emotions, comment number 5. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow the next interesting stories. The emotional toll of discovering that everything Donte believed about his family may have been a lie left him stunned and confused. He wondered why his family had built such an elaborate model just to raise him, and why the truth about his birth parents had been kept so carefully hidden. Feelings of betrayal and deception crept into Dante's mind, making it impossible for him to believe that what he knew about his family's origins could be so different from the truth. Then the rumors began to grow louder, causing a stir within the family and among those close to them. According to many close friends, there was a persistent rumor that Dante's real biological father was none other than Michael Jackson, the family's most famous brother. According to the story, Michael had a brief secret relationship with an unnamed woman, and Donte was the result of that relationship. Instead of letting the matter be discovered or letting the other woman raise the child on her own, Joseph and Catherine Jackson took Donte in, bringing him into the family under Alejandra's care as their own son. They built a perfect cover, keeping all secrets to protect the whole family, especially Michael's image. This explains why Michael paid special attention and spent a lot of time with Donte since he was a child. Every time he met his family, Michael often tried to talk to Donte privately, asking about his school hobbies, passions, and future dreams with deep and sincere concern like a real father. Many family members also recognized this special affection, and many times implicitly understood that the relationship between Michael and Donte had something beyond that of ordinary brothers. This could be the important piece to decipher the mystery of Donte's background. They had remarked that Michael's eyes always lit up when he saw Donte. Michael would have private conversations with the boy, sharing lessons about music life and childhood in the spotlight. Every word, every action, it was as if he were passing on his life experiences to his son. This truth, if true, made Donte both emotional and confused. It meant that everything he had believed about his role in the family was wrong. He was not Michael's nephew, he was Michael's biological son. Some family members tried to stop Donte from pursuing his thoughts about his true identity, arguing that the suspicions were unreasonable and should not be further explored. They wanted him to stop, to maintain peace in the family, and avoid disturbing the inherent peace. However, the whispers, doubts, and unrevealed secrets always existed, smoldering, unable to be completely extinguished. Curiosity and the desire to seek the truth grew in Donte's soul, urging him to take the final step, using science to clarify everything. Finally, the DNA test results came back indisputably. Donte's biological father was Michael Jackson. The news came as a huge shock, but it also explained all the feelings of alienation, doubts, and mysteries that had followed him throughout his childhood. The boy who once felt like he didn't belong here now had a clear answer. He was not only part of the Jackson family, but also the secret child of the world music legend. This not only changed Donte's life, but also opened a whole new chapter in the family story, full of surprises and emotions. Michael's protective instincts for Donte went far beyond that of an uncle. His deep concern for the boy's welfare was remarkable even by the Jackson family's standards. Michael and Donte's relationship was always special, a relative revealed years later. Donte was one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet, but we're not even sure Donte himself knew who his biological parents were. This comment further highlights the mystery surrounding Donte's background, while also confirming the genuine affection that Michael had always had for him. When Michael died in 2009, Donte, then 17, felt a profound loss far greater than the uncle-niece relationship that was known. The grief was deep and personal, as if he had lost something far more important than an uncle. Even Donte himself was surprised by the depth of his grief and began to wonder if his subconscious knew something that his conscious mind had not. As Donte grew older, the confusion about his birth parents began to affect every aspect of his life. From school to work, everything became more difficult as people continued to ask questions about his famous family questions he couldn't confidently answer. Friends, teachers, neighbors, co-workers all scrutinized his face, looking for similarities to other members of the Jackson family. Some said he looked like Randy. Others said he looked like Michael. Comments like these made Donte increasingly self-conscious, to the point where he avoided looking in mirrors and even family photos. The seemingly simple question, "Which of your family do you resemble?" can ruin his day. Despite this, Donte is known as one of the most well-behaved, kind, and well-liked young men in the Jackson family. But behind that gentle smile lies a mental burden that few understand: the pain of not knowing who you really are. Even Donte's relationships with his siblings, such as Jafar, Your Majesty Genevieve, and Randy Jr., become more complicated. He loves them, but he can't shake the feeling that their relationships aren't quite as they seem. Although Catherine Jackson, his grandmother and guardian, does her best to provide a stable and loving environment, even she can't completely protect Donte from the turmoil and emotional trauma of growing up without knowing the truth about his origins. In his late 20s, Donte began hearing whispers about a mysterious woman, someone no one in his family wanted to talk about. According to rumors, this woman had a brief relationship with one of the Jackson men in the early 1990s. The identities of both the mother and father were kept strictly confidential. The woman was described as beautiful, intelligent, a former entertainer, but not a celebrity, and quiet enough to keep her relationship a secret even after it ended. When she discovered she was pregnant, she reportedly arranged for the child to be raised in the Jackson family without revealing the truth. If the biological father was Randy, then giving Donte to Alejandra to raise with his other children was the perfect cover. But if the biological father was Michael Jackson, it was a much more elaborate plan designed to protect the image and privacy of the King of Pop. By the time he was in his early 30s, Donte had reached his limit. 30 long years had passed with rumors, conflicting assumptions, and countless unanswered questions, all like smoldering wounds that were gradually eroding his spirit and self-esteem. Donte could no longer continue to live in that ambiguity and doubt. He knew that if he did not actively seek out and face the truth, peace of mind would forever be a distant dream that he could never reach. The family secrets that had haunted him for so long were like ghosts, making him feel increasingly lost and lonely among his closest loved ones. I have 4 brothers. We have the same mother, but we have 2 fathers, and those 2 fathers are brothers. We are all part of the Jackson family. That statement not only explains his complicated relationship, but also deeply expresses Donte's confusion, anxiety, and desire to be understood. He lives in a famous, powerful, and secretive family where things are not always as they seem on the outside. The idea of taking a DNA test had crossed Donte's mind many times, but he knew it was a decision he couldn't take lightly. The results of the test could not only completely change the way he saw himself, but also his relationship with those around him. What's more, it could shake up the peace and secrets that the Jackson family had carefully kept for so many years. He feared that the truth might cause unforeseen turmoil, but deep down the desire to know his origins was stronger than ever. The family was also clearly divided into 2 factions in the face of this decision. On one side were those who supported Donte, understood and respected his right to know the truth, and wanted him to find answers so he could feel secure and happy. On the other side, many were opposed, worried that if the truth were revealed, it would damage the reputation and dignity of the Jackson family, a family that had already endured many storms and media pressure in the past. Catherine Jackson, the powerful mother of the family, was also said to have mixed feelings about this. She loved Donte and wanted him to be happy, but also realized that there were painful truths that were sometimes more cruel than hidden lies. As Donte struggled with his mental health, rumors spread that a family member had secretly conducted a DNA test on him without making it public. These whispers were like a small fire that ignited tension in the family, making everyone suspicious and curious. Who requested the test? What were the results, and why were those important results kept secret and not shared publicly? All these unanswered questions made Donte even more determined to find out the truth himself, so that he would no longer have to live in confusion and suffering. Despite facing countless challenges, opposition, and mental pressure from his family and public opinion, Donte remains determined. For me, DNA will change everything. He believes that only science, with its absolute objectivity and accuracy, is the only way to help him decode the secret of his identity after more than 30 years of being covered by doubts, speculations, and secrets. This is not just a simple journey to find the truth, but also an emotional internal battle where he wants to close a long and painful chapter in his life and start a new one more transparent and free. For Donte, DNA changes everything. He believes that science can provide answers that decades of speculation and assumptions never did. What will the truth reveal? Despite the countless rumors swirling, there are only two realistic possibilities for Donte's biological father. If Randy Jackson is the father, it would confirm what many have always suspected. Randy already had a child with Alejandra, so having another child would not be shocking. But there are holes in this theory. Why would Joseph and Catherine adopt the baby instead of letting Randy take responsibility? Why keep it a secret if this was just Randy's other child? If Michael Jackson was the biological father, this theory explains all the strange things that have happened over the years Joseph and Catherine adopted Donte, essentially taking care of their own grandchild. The relationship between Michael and Donte was more than just that of an uncle and nephew. On many occasions, Michael showed special care and concern for Donte, a love that went beyond the boundaries of family. This caused many family members and those around them to question the true relationship between the two. The cover-up and complexity of how the Jackson family handled this matter showed that they wanted to protect not only a child, but also the reputation of the King of Pop and the deep secrets behind the scenes of the spotlight. Donte could no longer continue to live in the obscurity and mystery that had lasted for so many years. According to a source close to him, he quietly took a DNA test without making it public or drawing attention. Donte's motivation was to find answers for himself, to clear up lingering doubts in his heart. The DNA test gave him the answers he had been waiting for, but what happened next surprised many. The results were never made public and likely never will be revealed to the public. Some believe that members of the Jackson family, possibly even Catherine Jackson, advised Donte to keep the results to himself. They warned him that the emotional and relationship consequences of the truth would be devastating. Rumors have it that the test was only allowed on the condition that Donte promised to keep the results secret regardless of the results. This left Donte in a position where he knew the truth, but could not find complete peace of mind, as the secrets he kept were an invisible burden that was difficult to erase. Whether the DNA results confirm that Donte's biological father is Randy or Michael, the truth carries an undeniable weight. It is not only the answer to Donte's decades-long quest for his identity, but also a piece of the puzzle that could shake the perfect and glamorous image of one of the world's most famous families. The truth is tied to secrets buried for decades, to relationships meticulously managed to preserve reputations, and to calculated silences to protect a legendary music empire. Its disclosure, whether for personal or public purposes, will surely have far-reaching consequences not only for Donte, but also for the entire Jackson family. Therefore, instead of seeking public or media attention, Donte Jackson chose to live the truth in silence. In adulthood, he still maintains a calm, private life away from the spotlight, but not separated from his family. He is still attached to the Jackson family, still close to Mrs. Catherine, who raised him since childhood like a real mother. For Donte, the present peace is the way to cherish the past, no matter how complicated and full of twists and turns it is. And despite carrying a truth that the world will probably never know, Donte remains silent as a way to protect himself and his loved ones. In a society increasingly obsessed with DNA secrets and media shock, Donte's silence speaks louder than any test result could ever reveal. His silence is not a rejection, but a way he chooses to preserve his privacy and peace in the storm of public opinion. But silence doesn't mean stopping. Those close to Donte reveal that he has slowly begun to ask deeper questions, questions that no one in his family has dared or wanted to answer before. Quietly and privately, Donte continues his search for the truth, not to please the public or make a splash in the media, but to find peace and acceptance within himself. His story opens up larger issues about the right to know one's origins, as well as the limits of privacy in a family of such prominence. Donte grew up in a family where almost everything from the glorious successes to the noisy scandals was exposed to the public, except his own story, a carefully kept secret. While the outside world looked at the Jackson family with admiration, curiosity, or suspicion, Donte had to learn to exist between two completely different worlds, a world of bright spotlights and a private world of closed doors where secrets were hidden and stories were untold. Donte Jackson, a man with a legendary family name, but who lived in a state of confusion about his origins, finally found the truth that he both longed for and feared. Without making a fuss or demanding anything, he chose to quietly seek answers for himself through observation, listening, and understanding. The DNA results not only confirmed his blood relationship with Michael Jackson, but also opened the door to memories that had been locked for decades. But for Donte, status does not define a person. It is love, nurturing, and the journey to find his identity that makes him. The truth did not bring him onto the stage, but brought him back to himself. Thank you for following the surprising story of Donte Jackson. Whatever the truth, his journey to find identity and peace of mind is something everyone can relate to. If you find this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next interesting stories. See you in the next videos.